After months of news pouring in from Ukraine that the Russian army has been making slow but steady gains in the east, one may have become used to the ever-grim predictions of the outcome of Russia's invasion. But what we didn't expect was for Ukraine to pull an Uno reverse and invade Russia itself, this time launching an assault into Kursk Oblast. Whilst we've seen military units launch cross-border raids into Russia, notably in May of 2023 and March of this year, this is the first time that elements of the Ukrainian army itself have carried out these attacks. So in this video, we'll be examining two aspects of the situation. First, we'll untangle Ukraine's decision to launch its own 3-day special military operation, and secondly, what it hopes to achieve. Keep in mind that events are unfolding rapidly as this video is being made, so do take everything here with a grain of salt. And as much as I'd like to think Hearts of Iron 4 has taught me anything, I'm not a military expert by any means. So, if you've not been in the loop recently, what's happened? On the morning of 6th of August, Ukrainian troops crossed the Russian border into Kursk Oblast, quickly sweeping across multiple settlements. Cross-border forays by pro-Ukrainian groups have happened in the past with tacit endorsement from Kyiv, but there's a key difference in using proxy troops and your own. The presence of US-supplied armoured vehicles like Bradleys, tanks, and other heavy equipment proves that this isn't just any typical border skirmish, but a premeditated large-scale incursion. As of making this video, it appears that Ukraine has seized roughly 350 square kilometers, or 135 miles for you Americans, which is just about what Russia has captured in the last 3 months. And according to the Institute of War Studies, at least 11 settlements have fallen under Ukrainian control, though this number has likely increased as the assault is still ongoing. Before people go about making Kursk People's Republic memes, it's important to note that the nature of this incursion is still unclear. It could very well be long-term, or perhaps just a lightning raid to remind Russia that it can't be the master of the battlefield in 2 different places. In any case, what forces have propelled Ukraine to make this daring move? The possibility of Ukraine invading Russia has been floated for months as a possible method for placing pressure on Russia's flanks, as it focuses almost entirely on the Donbas. As many of you know, the Russian army launched an assault into Kharkiv Oblast in May of this year, which has since ground into stalemate. This represented the first major Russian incursion into Ukraine's north since the start of the invasion, and had triggered a diplomatic fiasco amongst Ukraine's Western allies. The question then was whether to allow Ukraine to use Western-supplied weapons like ATACMS missiles and HIMARS to directly strike Russian soil. The UK, France and Germany gave the go-ahead, whilst Biden granted permission for only limited strikes against Russian positions that had facilitated the Kharkiv attack. That position hasn't changed since, placing Ukraine in a weird sort of limbo where it technically can and can't strike Russia proper. At face value, it appears Zelensky and gang have tried to resolve this dilemma by striking Russia from, well, within Russia itself, but the truth is a bit more complex than that. So, what is Ukraine trying to accomplish with all of this? In Donbas, the Russian army has made steady gains, threatening the cities of Chasiv Yar and New York. No, not that one. Despite horrific casualties, Russian advances have been difficult to halt, owing to Ukraine's increasingly dire manpower and equipment shortage. With that, why would Ukraine commit badly needed resources to capture small parts of Kursk, when it could put them to use in, say, Pokrovsk or any other part of the Eastern Front? Ukraine's special military operation serves not one but at least 4 different purposes. The first and most obvious is to divert Russian troops. As clashes between Ukrainian and Russian soldiers in Kursk have shown, many of the Russian border guards are inexperienced, with conscripts making up the bulk of manpower. As such, Russia quickly faces a choice. Either rely on these poor quality troops or divert veteran units from the Donbas, reducing the momentum of their assaults in the region. As for Ukraine's manpower shortage, it's true that those 2,000 or so soldiers that comprise the Kursk force would help in the Donbas. However, even through the simple act of diverting Russian troops, their impact is already many times what it would be had they been used on the defense in the Donbas. The second goal may be to inflict a symbolic defeat on Putin's regime. After all, it's one thing to claim battlefield success in Ukraine, and another in failing to defend your own land. Yet Putin's popularity in Russia remains at an all-time high, and the loss of a few villages will do little to impact that, which leads on to the third goal. As political science goat William Spaniel explains in his video on the topic, attention has shifted from Ukraine to Israel and Iran, and the news that has come from the East is often grim and pessimistic, focusing on Russia's gradual advance. By attacking Russian soil itself, Ukraine has given itself a PR panacea, a quick headline that can be exploited to draw international attention back to the invasion, and this tactic has been used in past conflicts. In the Spanish Civil War, for example, Republican forces capitalized upon a major victory at Guadalajara in 1937, allowing international journalists to show to the world that their defeat wasn't inevitable. Ukraine, in a similar vein, has essentially declared to the world that it's not a spent force, but a nation still fighting for its existence. And then there's the fourth goal, one a bit more pragmatic than the last two. The town of Sudzha is home to a massive gas transmission hub that's integral to Russian state company Gazprom's flow of gas into Europe. At the moment, it's likely that Ukrainian forces have captured it, and if so, would deprive Russia of a key route by which to transport gas into Europe. In turn, this would reduce their economic leverage, but once again, this remains as clear as Zelensky's gym routine. Realistically speaking, Ukraine doesn't have the troops or material to occupy Kursk long term, so it's likely that this is just a lightning raid with heavily armed units, designed to instill panic in Russia's rear. Whatever the case, this new tactic represents a dice roll on the part of Ukrainian generals, one that very well may expose cracks in Russia's military strategy. Thank you so much for watching if you managed to make it this far. I very quickly whipped this one up as soon as I heard news of Ukraine's gambit, and like the video with Prigozhin I made last year, everything could very well be out of date in a couple of days, but we'll have to wait and see. Regardless, if you enjoyed, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to stay up to date. As ever, I'm Iravic, and I'll see you in the next one.